And hello, Steeler Nation. Welcome to the Steeler Nation post-game Q&A here with Stryker. I host the podcast here at Steeler Nation, write some articles, and I'll be writing a lot more and doing a lot more film breakdown now that the regular season is starting. But man, what a snooze fest today, guys. Oh, man. I had to really start crocking in on the caffeine, drinking a Rockstar just to stay awake today. It's helping. What also helped was finally that last drive, that 2-minute drill with Haskins. Offensively, it was a real snoozer up until that point. But I was very surprised on how poorly they played offensively. But you got to take into account how they played. We had our third string quarterback with our second string offense going up against their number one defense. They had their number one offense going up against our number 2/number 3 defense. We had a lot of depth playing today, and a lot more so than the Carolina Panthers had. So Anthony jumping on. Hey there, Chloe. Good to see you guys. Hey, Ty. Yeah, bring back Duck. Nah, I still like Haskins. I honestly do. Christina, a lot of Steeler love to you too. Love you guys chiming in. I'm glad to have some Steeler Nation interaction. Obviously, this is the question and answer period. You guys want to get some stuff off your mind. You guys want to start talking about people you think who should stay, who should be cut. I got a couple things that I want to talk about. One thing starting off is that punter battle and special teams in general, to tell you the truth, between Presley Harvin III and Barry. Both were kicking fairly well today. I think they both had a solid game. I actually tracked their kicks. Barry had a 55-yarder, a 34-yarder that was downed on the 18-yard line, which is inside the 20. It's what you want, and a 39-yarder. Presley Harvin III had a 48-yarder, a 34-yarder also downed inside the 16, a 42-yarder, and a 48-yarder. So, comparable stats. I don't think anybody really showed that they were definitely the better kicker tonight. I still think the edge goes to the younger, cheaper guy. I think Presley Harvin's ultimately going to be making this pickup. But the really interesting aspect that I saw tonight was Chris Kuntz was the only person doing long snapping tonight. No Matt Canada at all. Cameron Candidate. No Cameron Candidate. We don't have our offensive coordinator doing the snapping, Stryker. All right. Yeah, I know it didn't sound right. Cameron Candidate did not snap a lick tonight. So I don't know if they're looking to move him. I don't know what's going on. I know Green Bay needs a long snapper. Could that be a possibility? Were they kind of working out a deal with Green Bay, which is why he didn't play today? I don't know. I'm speculating. That's what I do. I speculate. So we have some conversation on some fun stuff. Anthony Laird only got to watch the first half, and it was a bit rough, although a few good looks from Haskins. Yeah, it was rough. This first half, to me, kind of felt like watching Steeler football in December last year. Our running game couldn't get off the ground. Our passing game, we were dropping a lot of balls, and the quarterback was looking for the short passes and the checkdowns. So it felt like last year's football team, and it's not fun to watch. That was not a fun team to watch. I was falling asleep, literally falling asleep in the end of the third quarter, beginning of the fourth. I'm like, I got to wake up because I want to do a Q&A. I want to talk with Steeler Nation, see what you guys have to think. But yeah, it was, fortunately, I did stay awake. I did really like a couple defensive plays. Loudermilk got Loudermilk. Steelers do. I think he's going to make the roster, man. That guy he looked young Cam Hayward-esque out there today. Disruptive in the running game, disruptive in the passing game, getting a sack, good pursuit downfield. When the play went downfield, he'd turn around and chase the plays. Like, that's all the stuff that you love to see out of a young, big player like Loudermilk. A guy that Steeler Nation always gives me crap for not talking about, but yeah, I'm talking about Loudermilk tonight. I really like him. I think he's cemented himself on the team. But then who do you get rid of now? I mean, it was Loudermilk, Davis, Bugs. I mean, Bugs probably has the toughest time out of all of them. Mondo as well. Geez, man. Yeah, and I'd hate to see Mondo go because, man, I like his diversity on special teams. They actually have him on kick coverage. He gets down the field quickly, being that big number 99. So I mean, that to me, that's the toughest cuts by far on the field. I mean, or do you do a wild card cut? Do you cut somebody like Chris Wormley just to save money? Because you have so much good young talent behind you. That's your other option. That's the only other way you're going to go. And that's the same decision you have to make at outside linebacker with Jones again, getting to the quarterback and playing really well, coming off the edge. I mean, right now, Jones has made a sack, I think, in every single preseason game this year. He's gotten to the quarterback in every preseason game this year. And they just kept moving him up, starting with the 4s, moving him up to the 3s, moved him up with some 2s. He was still getting sacks. I mean, you kind of have to give him definitely the nod over Roche. But by picking up Ingram, it kind of moved everybody down the pecking order one. So to me, that last spot is either Marsh or it's Jones. So another situation where are you going to go with the young kid that has promise, or are you going to go with the established veteran who costs a little more? Do you make it a cost-cutting move? You know, these are the questions we're going to start asking ourselves. And of course, when I start putting my projected 53 here together, we'll have some interesting, I know it'll be different than a lot of people from Steeler Nation, but I'm a lot bigger on the special team stuff too. Jerry bringing on the starters. And yes, it was painful. Jerry off of Facebook. Yeah, I'd love to have some milk chants in the crowd this year. That would be awesome, Anthony. Maybe we start bringing the cowbell back and some mooing. People start thinking we're saying mooth or something though. But yeah, Loudermilk. That's a fun thing. Have some people come out with milk mustaches and ring the cowbells for Loudermilk. You know, got to have louder milk. So with the cowbells makes it louder. Jerry reminds me of Aaron Smith. Yeah, I mean. Yeah, I think he's shoot. I can't disagree with that. Aaron Smith was disruptive in every aspect of the game. Run, pass, underrated. Guy, I think that this guy's bigger and has more like arm width. Like he just seems like he's got a wingspan that goes on for days. And Aaron Smith was a tougher guy. It seemed like he had more of a compact arm length, but man, he had perfect technique though. Absolutely perfect technique. And I like saying that. And Codfish, hey, good talking to you too off of Twitter. And thanks for joining us. Yeah, I was talking about Barry and Harvin today. I thought today they were pretty even, except for the place holding. Because both of them had a kick inside the 20. Both of them had decent distance. I think did Barry outdistance him? Yeah, Barry had a 55 yarders, the long, whereas Percy Harvin had 248s. And then they each had a 34 yarder that was down inside the 20, but those were supposed to be down inside the 20. And then they each had like a wild card kick, Barry with a 39 yarder, Presley Harvin with a 42 yarder, which are not ideal for when in situations where they should have been kicking for distance and hopefully like booting 50, 60 yards. The only separation or the only difference I saw between the two Codfish was in place holding. Barry held on the long 52-yard field goal, no problem. Harvin was the holder on the missed extra point. So I just noticed that he was the holder on the extra point when he went down into position. I didn't see if it was his hold that was the problem for being the reason why Boz missed that kick. So I'll have to go back and watch replay, and then I'll have a better assessment of that. But just watching it once, just saying, you know, he was the one holding, and if that was his fault, that would be a negative on him, and Barry would have the edge for today's special teams battle of punter versus punter, which will be solved. And this is another cut. Like, is this going to be a cost-cutting cut? Steelers have been trying to get rid of Barry for the last 3 years. Barry just keeps showing he just rises to the occasion. And then it has to come down to, if you want to save money, you're going to save like 400,000. If you want to go with the younger kid, that might be the option. So, Interesting part, I thought Ray had a terrible game tonight up until that last 2-minute drive. He was dropping passes that he should have had. I didn't think his route running was as clean as it normally has been, but that last drive was brilliant. And he had a nice big long catch and run for about, 28 yards? I think I wrote down here. Yeah, 28 yards on the catch and run, nearly broke it at the end. And that was on the 3rd and 5, right there at the 2-minute warning. And then immediately after that play, Haskins with 2 brilliant throws. Anthony Johnson to the left sticks for 13 yards. And then a pass to Ball up the left side too for 8 yards. And then going right back to Ray over the middle, splitting the defense on the edge, on the outside, or right inside along the hashes for a brilliant touchdown. I mean, I really liked his ability to accelerate, spin, and get in the end zone faster than anybody else could get over and cover. So that's the speed that we expect to see out of Ray. That's the speed that we want to see out of Ray on punt returns. So I'm hoping he's got his mojo back. He looked pretty good there on that last drive. And I don't think for a second that the Steelers are looking to get rid of Ray for a Sexton. I know a couple people were thinking about that when we were reading some Steeler Nation threads over at SteelerNation.com and the football forum on the game thread. But yeah, I'm not ready to drop that. Kenny Beamer over at the YouTube site. Nice to see you, Kenny. Bad night for Steeler Nation. Hey, can't win them all in preseason, especially when they were playing their first string offense minus their all-world running back against our 2nd/3rd string defense, because we had a lot of guys that were 3s playing on that first defense as well. Same thing on offense. We had our 2nd/3rd string offense playing against their number 1s. That's why they look like crap. They look like absolute crap. But we had a couple of first string offensive linemen out there. You had I remember seeing Dotson out there. I remember seeing Green, of course, in the center. It looked like Moore started the game, and then Chooks came in that game, and he left up a bad. Because I remember seeing Chooks on the field, and I'm like, "Oh, Chooks is on the field, cool." I can see what he get. Oh, he let up a big rush on the outside, and that kind of killed that drive. But so we got some of the starters. I don't recall seeing Banner or Trey Turner. Correct me if I'm wrong. I just don't recall seeing them. I wasn't really looking for them early in the game. I was just excited to be able to get home in time to watch it and start seeing the game. Yeah, if anybody missed the game too, this is the one to miss. Also, I don't mind having a loss going into the season because you're going to have a lot of people get cut down this week. I'm not really going to say Tomlin's even going to use this loss as a motivating factor, but at least it lets people know, hey, you can lose if you don't have your crap together. Get your crap together. Let's start moving and let's start winning these games, because we're going to see the real offense in about 2 weeks against the Buffalo Bills. And I can't wait to see that offense, because it is going to be vastly different than any offense we're normally seeing. It's going to give Ben, we kind of ran it when Ben was in the game and he got his touchdown drives. So I'm just really excited to see them commit back to the run, utilize the play action, get people in space to create mismatches and put people in their best position to win against the person that they're lined up again, moving around, motion, pre-snap motion, motion after the snap. Don't know where the ball's going except for Ben. And I think this is going to be fun. This is going to be a fun offense to watch with Ben Roethlisberger at the helm. And I think Matt Canada is going to be putting him in the right position too, to make him as versatile as possible and as successful as possible. A couple of other points I wanted to talk about in the game. I thought Darnold had a good game. I thought he played pretty well. Steelers, great job of first opening up that first drive where they got 13 plays. They got down there. They went for it on 4th down. And that's our 2nd/3rd string defense stopping their number 1s there on the 4th down for a turnover on downs. I thought Snell looked slow, Benny Snail-esque, unfortunately. And I don't know if that was a byproduct of our offensive line going up, our lower offensive line 1/2 going up against their ones. Right now, I mean, this is really the first game that Snell's played in all preseason. So he had that one nice run where he cut up the middle, had some contact, stretched it out for about 11 or 12 yards. But other than that, it was a very pedestrian game. It looked a lot like I said, the running game from last year, dare I say. I thought that Samuels was a lot more energetic. He was getting some better pickups. He just looked generally better out of the backfield. Hated seeing Derek Watt drop that ball. Well, it was behind him. It was a tough pass, but unfortunately he knocked that straight up in the air for the interception. I think Derek Watt is going to be a bigger part of this offense than he's ever been. And look for him to get some balls this year, especially down the field as a receiver. He was a tight end and he's a very athletic player when he was in high school. I'm excited to see him catch and run with the ball. Really, I am. Second quarter started off. We had Wormley, who was robbed for a sack on that incomplete fumble. The lost challenge on there. And yeah, I mean, if you watched, technically his arm was moving forward, but technically he had 3 guys draped on him when he threw the football away. It's technically an intentional grounding. It should have been a penalty, and he should have been listed for intentional grounding. That would have put all this replay crap as a moot point. So, they ended up missing that field goal right after it anyway. So not a big deal. Then you had Sexy back there on the returning the punt, muffed it after it bounced. I knew immediately they couldn't return the kick because he technically muffed it. But they did get the possession. They retained possession. I think we had another stoppage there too. Norwood dropped a short INT right into his breadbasket. I really would have liked to have seen him hang on to that. That might have jump-started our offense and kind of changed momentum in the game back when the game was still kind of anybody's game. But like I said, they put out their higher talented players against our lower talented players, and it just cascades down the rest of it. So that's the way it's going to go. Yes, I do. I'm going to making a 53-man roster, Kenny. I'm tweaking it right now. There's a couple people that got injured tonight that I'll get to right here at the end of my recap. And I think some of those guys you'll definitely see maybe not being on this team, and I'll get to that here quickly. Talked about Kuntz snapping. Dobbs got in the blue tent, and that's another guy. Now I got to him. I got to talk about Dobbs being a cut, probably. I just don't see Dobbs as, from anything that's been seen in training camp, from anything that's been seen in these preseason games, I just do not see a world where Dobbs makes this roster over Haskins or over Rudolph. I think with Rudolph and Ben sitting, they're locks. They're locked. Haskins was pretty much a lock too. He really was. I just don't see Dobbs making it. And Dobbs is practice squad eligible. And I honestly think with 16 on the practice squad this year, Steelers are going to find a spot for Dobbs so he can be there with a clipboard, sitting next to Ben on game day, hanging out, talking football. And that's where he needs to be. Just find any way to get him near the area. And plus, anything happens to any of the quarterbacks, it's good to have that guy who knows the system coming back into the system and being able to play with us. Loudermilk with a sack. We already talked about him. We love seeing that. Wade with the fumble. Unfortunately, UG3 had a foot out of bounds. If any part of your body is touching out of bounds and you touch the football while it's in play, the ball is immediately out of bounds. You do not have to have possession of the ball. You are just an extension of being out of bounds. If any body part of yours is touching out of bounds when you make contact with the football, that moment was technically a fumble, and then the ball rolled out of bounds by touching UG3's hand because he was the extension of the out of bounds line. That was the rule there. If anyone was confused, it sucks. The replay on that, it showed. And I remember seeing before we went to replay, I was like, oh crap, I think he was out of bounds. I was hoping he batted that ball before he touched out of bounds, but he was firmly had his foot out of bounds when that happened. That rule also comes into effect down around the end zone for touchbacks. So If any part of your body is touching across that line or touching the line when you touch the ball, it is an extension of that line. And of course, it's a touchback. One thing I wanted to see too is for strategy purposes, when a team comes down and somebody's diving in the end zone to bat the ball from out of the end zone back into the field of play, you can legally, as a returner, bat the ball back into the end zone, and then they recover it in the end zone, and it's a touchback. That's how you play that. You knock the ball back and you let them do it because the ball reverts to where they would have touched it. I think that's pretty much the way that, and that's, yeah, I'm pretty damn sure that's the way that play would work. Is if you knocked it back in the end zone and they recover it in the end zone, it's a touchback because you cannot lose possession of the football as the returning team after the kicking team touches the football. So that's why you make that play, because there's no way you can get called on for a fumble. Yeah, unfortunately, Jerry, I'm with you too on that too. For Dobbs not doing anything tonight, I honestly was expecting more out of Dobbs. He had I really like that one run he had on third down. That was a cool run because it looked like he was going to get stopped. There's like three guys around him and he kind of like one guy hit him and his momentum pushed him into the other player. And that player kind of bounced off of Dobbs. Dobbs regained his balance by being kind of sandwiched there a second and was able to continue on for a couple more yards. But that was probably my favorite play of the night by Dobbs. Him running down the field like that. I mean, it was just tough. I mean, receivers just weren't as consistent tonight. But then again, you really only had Ray and Claypool, which were the rostered receivers from last year. They sat Juju. They sat DJ. Washington was on the field a little bit too. That's right. I remember seeing Washington on the field. I don't know if he got a catch, to tell you the truth. I don't remember him getting a catch, but I do remember him being on the field. And oddly enough, though, Ray just being in the game the whole game, that was weird. I wouldn't have expected him to be in the game at all past the third quarter. But fortunately he was. He gave the Steelers their only touchdown of the game. And that's where we sat today. So Steeler Nation, we don't have any more questions. That's pretty much it for the night. This is a quick night. I'm checking my list here just to check my final tweets. Cameron Canaday was sick, according to Tomlin. So that is a new report. I'm making my speculation on him being traded, but he was sick, and that was the reason why he was held out of today's game. That's why Kuntz was the long snapper. So I guess nothing to read into yet. Maybe it is. Maybe he's playing some head games. We don't know. Yep, because Tomlin's addressing the media now. And that's pretty much it. So Steeler Nation, thanks a lot for tuning in to us here. And anytime, Kenny, I'm always here for you, man. And tonight, I guess there's going to be some big news coming out tonight at midnight. We're going to have an announcement about the podcast, the Steeler Nation podcast, as well as the Yins Hers podcast. I can't say anything yet, other than there's going to be some big news. I'm going to bed. I'm not going to be awake for it. I already know what the big news is. Can't tell you yet, Steeler Nation, but it's going to be some pretty cool stuff here coming up that we'll all know about in the morning if you don't hear the tweets here overnight. So cheers, Steeler Nation. Love you guys. Thank you for the great content. Thank you for the great questions. And can't wait for the regular season to start. I just hate the fact that we have to wait 2 weeks for it. We have to have a preseason bye to wait for the start of the regular season. That is atrocious. That needs to be fixed. I mean, at least move all the preseason games up a week so we don't have to sit a week, sitting for an extra week to wait for the first game of the season. Hate that, NFL. Fix it. So, but until then, I'll still be back. I'll have a couple more podcasts. I'm going to try to do some fun stuff here in the next 2 weeks, have some fun guests and things like that too. And some fun interviews and just really open this thing up. And it's going to be all for you guys. Can't wait to see you here coming up soon. All for you, Steeler Nation. Thanks for your help. Thanks for your comments over here on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. I'll be back in touch with you soon. And as always, I will be rooting along with you. As always, go Steelers.